What happens when a CEO goes undercover and watches a hungry teenager collapse mid-shift only to hear a manager yell at him for it? Shane Griffin never meant to run a business. He inherited the 14-location burger chain from his father 2 years ago after the old man passed from a heart attack. Shane was a numbers guy, quiet, methodical, more comfortable with spreadsheets than people. But lately, the numbers weren't making sense. Turnover was high in a few stores, employee reviews were slipping, and one location in particular, Store 9, on the edge of a working-class suburb, had more complaints than the others combined. When Shane asked the district manager for answers, he got the usual. Staffing's tight, labor market's tough, we're handling it. But something didn't sit right. So he came up with a plan. He'd go undercover as a new hire, a 38-year-old trainee named Steve Green. He shaved the beard, bleached parts of his hair, wore thick glasses, and borrowed a friend's beat-up car to show up for his first shift at Store 9. It was a corporate location, and with 14 total in the chain, most of the store-level employees had never met the owner. Shane had never visited this location himself. No reason anyone would suspect a thing. The first thing that hit him when he walked through the back door was the heat. The kitchen was roasting. A single industrial fan hummed in the corner, barely moving the air. "Hey, new guy," a woman barked from the fry station. She wore a red visor and a permanent scowl. "You're late." He checked his watch. "I'm 5 minutes early." "Early's late when I'm the one training you," she snapped. "Name's Dana. I'm the manager. Don't get in my way." That set the tone for the day. By noon, Shane had seen 3 things that made his stomach twist. First, Dana barking at a line cook for using too many napkins in a customer bag. "We're not made of money," she shouted, slamming the dispenser shut. Second, a middle-aged dishwasher named Carlos quietly taking over someone's shift without being asked. "They got a kid at home," he said when Dana asked why. "Figured I could help." She muttered, "Whatever," and walked away. And third, Tanner. Tanner was 16, skinny as a rail, and running drive-through orders like his life depended on it. Sweat dripped from his forehead as he darted between the fryer and the window. He hadn't stopped moving in 2 hours. Shane tried to talk to him during a lull, but Dana snapped, "If you've got time to chat, you've got time to clean." So Shane kept scrubbing the shake machine, watching Tanner out of the corner of his eye. Around 2:30 p.m., it happened. Tanner was carrying a tray of 4 drinks when his knees buckled. He dropped to the floor, the cups crashing beside him, soda pooling under his arm. His face hit the tile hard. Shane dropped the rag and rushed over. "Hey, Tanner, you okay?" Tanner didn't respond, just groaned, eyes fluttering. "Someone call," Shane started. Then Dana stormed over and pulled Tanner's cap off his head. "Are you kidding me?" she shouted. "You just cost us 3 orders. I told you to take it slow with drinks." "He passed out," Shane said, kneeling beside the boy. "He's not faking it." Dana ignored him. "You think I got time for this drama? If you can't handle a shift, don't show up." Shane's body froze. His stomach dropped. He wanted to scream, but the words stuck in his throat. A cashier named Trina rushed over and crouched beside him. "Tanner," she said, gently tapping his face. "Baby, can you hear me?" I didn't eat," the boy mumbled. "Since yesterday."
Dana scoffed.
"Oh, now we're playing the starving card. Get up or clock out." That did it. Shane stood slowly. His hands were shaking, but his voice came out steady. "Get the kid water," he said to Trina. Then he turned to Dana. "You office. Now." She squinted. "Excuse me?" I said, "Get in the office. You and I are going to have a conversation." "Who do you think you are?" Shane pulled off his glasses. His voice was calm, but cold. "You've got 10 seconds to get in the office before I fire you in front of everyone." Dana blinked. Her mouth opened, then closed. She turned and walked toward the back, stiff and silent. Trina looked up at him, eyes wide. "Wait." Are you? He gave her a small nod.
Yeah.
I own this place. The office door clicked shut behind them, dulling the noise from the kitchen but not muting it completely. Shane could still hear the fryers hissing, the faint shuffle of feet, someone dragging a mop across the floor. Dana crossed her arms and leaned against the file cabinet, the same expression she'd worn all day, tight-lipped, guarded, ready to fire back before hearing anything out. Shane didn't sit. He stood near the desk, steadying his breathing. His voice stayed low, but it didn't need to be loud. What happened out there was unacceptable, he said. You know that. Dana didn't blink. Kid passed out. Not my fault he didn't eat. You yelled at him while he was on the floor. He's 16, not 6. If he thinks skipping lunch is a reason to collapse, maybe this job's not for him. Shane ran his hand down the side of his face. You didn't even ask if he was okay. You were more concerned with spilled drinks. Dana shrugged. We're short 3 people today. We've been behind since open. That tray set us back another 10 minutes. And you think that justifies screaming at a teenager who lost consciousness? Her jaw twitched. Look, I run this place the way I have to. You wanted to stay open and profitable? Then don't come down here judging how I keep it moving. Shane stepped toward the desk. You don't keep anything moving. You drag people until they break. That boy hadn't eaten in almost 24 hours.
Did you know that?
A pause. Then, not my job to feed him. No, Shane said. But it is your job to make sure your team is safe, supported, and respected. You did none of that. Dana's gaze shifted toward the floor. He didn't tell me he was hungry. He shouldn't have to. It's your responsibility to know your staff well enough to recognize when something's wrong. She shifted her weight, arms still crossed. You're not here every day. You don't get how hard it is. They don't listen. They push back. I have to be strict or they walk all over me. Shane pointed at the security monitor mounted in the corner. The live feed showed the kitchen, Trina handing Tanner a bottle of water, Carlos wiping the floor where the drinks had spilled, the rest of the crew working in silence. No one out there looked like they were trying to walk all over you. They looked like they were surviving you. Dana didn't respond. He opened the drawer behind him, pulled out the office keys, and set them on the desk. You're done here. She blinked.
What?
You're relieved of your position, effective immediately. You don't speak to anyone on the way out. Your final check will be mailed. Dana stood straight, disbelief flickering across her face. You're firing me? After one bad moment. Shane's tone didn't change. This wasn't one moment. I've been here less than a day, and I've seen enough to know this store is being run into the ground. The only question now is how deep the damage goes. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her face hardened as she grabbed her purse from under the desk and walked to the door. She hesitated, hand on the knob. You're going to regret this, she said. Shane didn't answer. She left without another word. He stood there for a beat, listening to the kitchen sounds swell back into focus. Then he stepped out, and the room went quiet. Tanner was sitting now back against the wall near the mop sink. His face was pale, but some color had returned. Trina knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder. Carlos stood nearby holding a cold rag. Shane walked over and crouched slowly.
Hey, he said.
How you feeling? Tanner blinked. Better, I think. Dizzy, but better. You're not working another minute today. We're getting you home. Tanner looked down, embarrassed. I didn't mean to make a scene. I was just trying to finish my shift. You didn't make a scene. You made it through something no kid your age should have to. That's not on you. Trina looked up. I've been telling him to take breaks, but Dana used to dock people's hours if they sat too long. Shane's jaw tightened. That won't happen again. He stood and addressed the team.
I'm Shane Griffin.
I own this company. I came here undercover today because I needed to see things for myself. No one spoke. A few heads turned slowly. Carlos lowered the rag in his hand. I saw enough today to know this store isn't broken because of you. It's broken because it was being led the wrong way. He paused, letting that land. Dana's gone. Effective now. A few eyes widened. No one looked surprised. Shane turned to Carlos. Would you mind giving Tanner a ride home? I'll pay you for the time. Carlos nodded without hesitation. Of course. Shane turned back to Trina. Do we have any food here he can take with him? She nodded. I'll make something fresh. Thank you. As she moved to the grill, Shane noticed something else. A girl in the corner near the dish pit, maybe 18, standing frozen, watching. She had headphones around her neck and a hoodie tied around her waist. Her name teg read Naya. He walked over. You all right? She gave a hesitant nod.
Yeah.
Just. Wasn't expecting any of this. Neither was I, Shane said. How long you been here? 4 months. Mostly dish, sometimes prep. You like the work? She shrugged. It's fine. But it's been rough. A lot of people quit. I just needed the hours. You're going to get them. And more than that, you're going to get a workplace that treats you right. She didn't smile, but her shoulders relaxed a little. As Tanner left with Carlos, holding a paper bag of food and a bottle of water, Shane turned back to the line. We're closing early today, he said. I'll pay everyone through dinner shift. Tomorrow I'll be here again. We're going to talk about how we fix this store together. But first, everyone goes home, gets rest, and eats something. Trina looked up from the grill. You sure? We've still got orders stacked. We'll refund them. I'll cover it. No one moved at first. Then Maya reached for the sprayer and shut it off. Trina wiped her hands and stepped away from the grill. The tension that had hung in the air all day seemed to release, just slightly. Shane walked to the front, flipped the open sign to closed, and locked the door. There were questions he still didn't have answers to. Why had the district manager covered for Dana? How long had this been going on? Who else might be in the same situation? But for now, the boy was safe. The screaming had stopped. And for the first time that day, the store was quiet. The next morning, Shane was already in the lot behind Store 9 by 6:30. He sat in his car with the engine off, coffee cooling in the cup holder. The building looked different in the early light, less like a battlefield, more like something that could be salvaged. At 7 sharp, Trina pulled up in an old Honda with a cracked passenger mirror. She didn't notice him until he stepped out of his car and waved. She gave a cautious nod as she locked her door. I wasn't sure if you were really coming back, she said. Neither was I, Shane admitted. But if I didn't, I'd be part of the problem. He unlocked the back door and held it open. The air inside was already warming up from the prep cook's work on the grill. Maya was at the sink, sleeves rolled up, tying her apron tighter as she rinsed off a stack of pans. She glanced over. You're early. So are you, Shane said. I didn't sleep much. Figured I'd rather be here than lying in bed thinking. He nodded, then walked to the office. The space still smelled faintly of fryer grease and whatever air freshener Dana had used to mask it. He opened the file cabinet and started pulling personnel folders. It was time to really understand who was working here and what had been ignored. By 8, Carlos arrived. He rubbed his neck as he walked in, then grabbed a towel and went straight for the prep station. Thanks for getting Tanner home yesterday, Shane said. Carlos shrugged. He's a good kid. Doesn't complain, just works. That's rare. Did he say anything on the drive? Just that he didn't want to lose his hours. Said he couldn't afford it. Carlos paused. I told him to take today off. He wasn't happy about it. He'll get paid for yesterday and today. I already made the call. Carlos looked surprised, but didn't argue. That's good. He'll appreciate that. By 8:15, the rest of the staff began trickling in. Quiet greetings replaced the tension from the day before. Shane noticed how people avoided the office like it still belonged to Dana. He stepped out, clapped his hands once, and gathered everyone near the break table. I know you weren't expecting to see me here again, he said. But I meant it yesterday. We're going to fix this together. And it starts with hearing what's really been happening. Nobody spoke at first. Then Trina crossed her arms. Are you sure you want to hear it? Because some of it's not pretty. I'm sure, Shane said. She looked around, then back at him. You know Dana used to throw out applications if someone didn't look like they'd fit. Shane's expression didn't change, but his stomach turned. What do you mean by fit? Kids with piercings. Black kids. Anyone who looked too quiet or too loud. She'd say they'd bring in a wrong vibe. Maya added, I got hired because someone else quit mid-shift and didn't come back. She needed a body, not because she wanted me here. Did you ever report that?
Shane asked.
To who?
Trina said.
Her boss is her cousin. We've tried. Shane stiffened. Her cousin? District manager, Maya said. Name's Glenn. He'd stop by, nod at stuff, then leave. They'd talk in the office with the door closed. She'd come out worse every time. Shane ran a hand across his jaw. That explains a lot. Carlos leaned against the prep table. It got worse last winter. She cut hours for anyone who called in sick. People stopped saying anything. Just showed up coughing. That's a health risk, Shane said. Didn't matter. If you missed a shift, you got dropped from the next schedule. Shane looked around the room. Anyone else ready to leave because of this? 3 hands raised, slowly. Maya's was one of them. I got another job offer at a cafe in Midtown, she said. I was going to take it next week. Why didn't you already? I need the money. Couldn't afford to be in between. He nodded once, then looked at the others. If I asked you to stay for 30 more days, with changes starting today, would you? Maya lowered her hand. Depends on the changes. First, Shane said, we're posting every opening publicly. No more gatekeeping. Everyone who wants a job can apply, and we'll review them based on experience, not appearance. Trina added, that's how it should have been all along. Second, we're bringing in an independent HR rep, not Glenn. Someone who reports directly to me. If you've got something to say, you'll be able to say it without fear. No one interrupted. Eyes were locked on him. Third, we're restructuring the shift schedule. No more punishing people for being human. If you're sick, you stay home and you don't lose hours for it. Carlos asked, who's managing now? Shane hesitated. I will, until we find someone better. You all know the store better than I do. I'll follow your lead where it makes sense. But accountability starts at the top. Maya raised an eyebrow. You gonna be on the line? I'll be wherever I'm needed. Today, that's with you. Trina nodded slowly.
All right.
You've got 30 days. The crew dispersed, and prep began in earnest. Shane slipped on gloves and joined Carlos at the cutting board. The work was steady, unremarkable. But there was a rhythm that hadn't been there the day before. A quiet cooperation. At 10, the first customer walked in. By noon, the line was steady. Shane bounced between bagging orders and wiping down trays. He wasn't fast, but he was careful. No one had to explain the register system twice. When the fryer jammed, Carlos showed him how to reset it without a word. In the lull before the dinner rush, Shane pulled up the scheduling system in the office. He flagged 3 shifts that had been double-booked and adjusted them. Then he opened the company email and drafted a message. Subject: Immediate audit of Store 9 management. He listed everything he'd learned: nepotism, discriminatory hiring practices, retaliation for illness, and requested an internal review of the district manager's conduct. He CC'd legal and HR directly. When he hit send, he sat back in the chair and exhaled. At 4:30, a new face walked through the back entrance. Late 20s, clipboard in hand, wearing a corporate badge. Cassandra Givens, she said. You called for HR support? Shane stood. Thanks for coming. She glanced around. Looks like you've already made a dent. He nodded. I need someone these people can trust. I'm not that yet. Cassandra walked to the break table where Maya was adjusting the sanitizer bucket. Mind if I sit with you for a few minutes? Maya blinked, then nodded slowly.
Sure.
Shane watched from the office doorway as Cassandra leaned in, listening more than speaking. Maya's posture softened, and for the first time that day, she smiled. Not forced. Not polite.
Real.
When the evening shift ended, Shane locked the front door himself. The register was balanced. The kitchen was clean. No one had yelled. No one had cried. No one had walked out. As he turned off the lights, he looked around the store and saw something he hadn't expected.
Hope.
Not fixed. Not finished. But possible. By the end of the third week, Shane had nearly lost his voice. He was working 6 days a week, splitting his time between Store 9 and the main office, often sleeping in his car when it didn't make sense to drive home. His back ached from double shifts on the prep line, and his inbox was overflowing with reports from Cassandra's ongoing interviews with staff across the region. But progress slow, careful, and earned was visible. The crew at Store 9 had stabilized. Maya had taken on more responsibility, quietly stepping into a leadership role during closing shifts. Trina began mentoring 2 new hires, both referrals from employees who'd left under Dana. And Carlos, who never said more than necessary, started showing up 10 minutes early just to walk the line and tighten anything loose. Still, there was one conversation Shane hadn't had yet.
Glenn.
The district manager hadn't been on site since the day Shane sent his audit request. He'd responded with a single email, short, defensive, and vague, promising to circle back once things cooled down. But the temperature hadn't cooled. Not for Shane. Not for the people who'd worked under him. And not after what Cassandra uncovered. It was Thursday afternoon when she walked into Shane's office, closed the door behind her, and dropped a folder on his desk. 3 stores, she said. Same pattern. Favoritism in hiring. Unrecorded write-ups. Scheduling manipulation. And in 2 cases, employees being asked to pay out of pocket for missing inventory. Shane looked up.
Glenn.
Every time, managers were either trained by him or told directly what to do. One even said Glenn warned her not to hire people with too much attitude, his exact phrase. Shane leaned back and stared at the ceiling. How did it get this far? No oversight.
No checks.
And no one thought you'd care. He was quiet for a moment, then sat forward. Is he in the city? Cassandra hesitated. He's at Store 4 today. I already confirmed it with their assistant manager. Shane stood. I'll be there in 20. Store 4 was 15 miles across town, tucked behind a strip mall near an industrial park. The parking lot was half full when Shane pulled in. He didn't wait for anyone to greet him. He walked through the front, past the register, and straight to the office hallway. Glenn was inside, leaning over a filing cabinet with his phone tucked between his cheek and shoulder. Shane opened the door without knocking. Glenn turned, paused, and gave a thin smile. Well, if it isn't the prodigal son. Shane closed the door behind him. The silence that followed was heavy. You want to explain what I just read? Shane asked, dropping the folder on the desk. Glenn glanced at it, then shrugged. You know how it is. People complain when things don't go their way. I run a tight ship. Shane didn't sit. That ship's sinking. You've been covering for a manager who discriminated against applicants based on race and appearance. You've encouraged others to punish staff for calling in sick. And you've created a culture where people are afraid to report problems. Glenn raised his hands slightly. Let's slow down. You're listening to the lowest people on the ladder. You give them a microphone and suddenly everyone's a victim. Shane's jaw clenched. You told a manager not to hire anyone with too much attitude. What does that mean, Glenn? It means attitude. You know, people who come in thinking they're owed something. People like Maya? Glenn's expression didn't change. That girl? She barely made eye contact during her interview. That's not leadership material. You want people who fit the brand. Shane's voice dropped. You mean people who won't challenge you? Glenn scoffed. I mean people who don't scare off customers. That was it. Shane reached into the inner pocket of his jacket and pulled out a sealed envelope. You're done. Effective immediately. Your access to all company systems is already revoked, and your final check will be mailed. You are not to contact any store managers or staff going forward. If you do, we'll pursue legal action. Glenn's face finally shifted. Come on, Shane. You're making a mistake. You don't know how hard it is to find people who actually show up. Shane stepped closer. You think showing up is enough? You think running people into the ground and filtering applicants by how they look is leadership? You don't belong in this company. And after what I've seen, I don't think you ever did. Glenn didn't answer. He grabbed his phone from the desk, looked at Shane one last time, and walked out without a word. Shane stood in the office alone for a moment, then reached for the phone and called Cassandra. It's done, he said. Glenn's gone. Back at Store 9, the news traveled fast. Shane didn't announce it publicly, but employees talk. By the end of the shift, Maya found him in the back hallway, wiping down a crate of condiments.
He's really out? She asked.
Shane nodded. We're restructuring the entire district. New eyes. New standards. No one's above accountability anymore. She leaned against the wall, arms crossed, not defensive, just thoughtful. I almost quit, she said.
Twice.
Once after my third shift, once after Dana made me clean the bathroom with no gloves. Shane looked up. Why didn't you? I don't know. Maybe I didn't want her to win. He set the crate down. You've been carrying a lot more than your share. Maya shrugged. Someone had to. He nodded. You ever thought about management? She blinked. Me? You've been stepping up since day one. You're steady under pressure. Staff listen to you. I think you're ready. She hesitated. I don't want to be another Dana. Then don't be. Be you. We'll train you, support you, and hold you accountable. But you'll lead your way, not hers. Maya didn't answer right away, but she didn't walk off either. I'll think about it, she said. That night, Shane closed the store with Carlos. The lights went off one by one, and the street outside was quiet. As they locked the back door, Carlos looked over. You're not like most owners, he said. Shane gave a tired smile. I didn't used to be, but I'm trying to be now. Carlos nodded once, then turned toward his car. Shane stood alone for a moment, watching the empty lot, the glowing sign above the awning. It wasn't perfect, and it never would be. But it was better.
Safer. Honest.
He climbed into his car, started the engine, and drove off, not to escape the work ahead, but to face it head-on, knowing for the first time he wasn't doing it blind. The hardest part wasn't going undercover. It was facing what he found when he got there and choosing to stay.